Okay, so welcome to this series of podcasts. And what I'm going to demonstrate in this series is that addictions to different kinds of popular culture function as a religion. And this first part is about social media. So, social media is something that has grown over the last decade. It started out with MySpace, and then it got taken over by Facebook. And then once Facebook became pretty popular, other people started creating different platforms such as Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Tumblr, Vine, etc. So now there's a platform for basically everything. And it's blown up, and there are more users on these platforms than ever before. Social media has, in a way, become an addiction and one giant cult of followers. When we look at how popular culture can be identified, one of the ways is that it rises from the people. And I strongly believe that's what social media is. I mean, if everyone stopped posting, it wouldn't exist. And if you look at Facebook, for example, it was created so long ago. I remember when I was in high school in 2007, I had a Facebook, but it wasn't as big as it was now. It's totally different now. Before, we kind of used it, me and my friends. It wasn't really that exciting. We would go on it every now and then, but it wasn't our means of communication. But nowadays, it's pretty much everyone's essential means of communication. And so, yeah, it's become very popular, and I would say that the people are what make it popular. When we look at the functional approach, experiential approach, and cultural approach to religion, social media demonstrates the qualities of a religion as well. So, for example, if we look at the functional approach, religion functions as a way of bringing social cohesion, which we can see because in this day and age, people are now connected to everyone all over the world. I mean, that's why it's called social media. If we want to share a video, a picture, an article, whatever, to our friends and family, we just post it to our social media accounts. And we can now see things that we wouldn't have been able to see before. So, for example, on Snapchat, they have these videos that allow you to see other parts of the world. And it's amazing because before, if you wanted to see those parts of the world, you would have had to travel to them, take an airplane, pay money, book a trip. But nowadays, you don't have to do that. And it's great because not a lot of people can afford financially or afford to take the time away from their jobs to go on a trip to these places. So it now provides a new experience to people and new opportunities to see the world. Another thing that we can see on social media is the social movements. So, for example, the Ice Bucket Challenge last summer, that was huge. And honestly, for months, you couldn't go a single day without seeing someone dump a bucket of ice on their head. And ALS raised a lot of money for that. So, yeah, things like that are really great. And by having this connection between everyone and social cohesion, it functions as a way of religion. Now, the experiential approach states that religion can provide comfort and meaning to people's lives, and I would argue that this stands for social media because there are countless occasions where if people don't have the means to go on social media, they feel lost, or they feel like part of their life is missing, or just in general, they feel disconnected from the world. I mean, I challenge you to go a week without checking any of your accounts and see how you feel. I can predict that at the beginning you may find that because you can fill your time with other tasks, you're pretty okay. And maybe by the end of the week you feel liberated because you went so long without it. But that time in the middle would probably be very difficult and very uncomfortable because it's comforting knowing what's going on in the lives of your peers. And it's comforting being able to scroll through a platform and know that you're going to come across something that you like. And it's comforting knowing what's going on in the world. That's another huge thing that's changed. Before, you had to read a newspaper or even go online and look up the New York Times or the Daily Mail, like things like that. Or you could download the app for CNN. I mean, you can still do all those things, but now I find a lot of people communicate news and world events via social media. For example, the Paris attacks a couple weeks ago. I was at work when they were happening, and there were no means to find out that they were happening until I went on my phone after work, and I was sitting there and I went on Facebook and I just saw multiple posts about these attacks. And obviously it's not comforting finding out news about terrorism. However, it was comforting knowing what was going on in the world. Like, I'm glad I found out about it, because I would rather know than not know. Anyway, the point is, going on social media brings comfort and meaning in many different ways to our lives. The cultural approach to religion asks us what ways religion tends to be embedded into our culture. And I would argue that social media is obviously a huge part of our culture, and the rituals of checking and liking, sharing and posting that we all take part in tie into that. Just like McGuire said, religion is a practical exercise that makes sense of everyday life. We all ritually go on social media. I myself find that I check every platform right when I wake up and right before I go to sleep. That's my social media ritual, and I do it every day. And I also find nowadays people's lifestyle always somehow incorporates social media. Like, if someone cooks something really amazing, they take a picture of it. If someone goes to a party, they're Snapchatting it. If someone goes to a hockey game, they're putting a picture on Instagram about it, or posting a status on Facebook saying that they're at the game. If something happens in the world, someone may write a tweet about it. Like, it's always incorporated into different lifestyles. I also find that the different platforms are the different institutions, and they're now starting to become integrated with one another. For example, when you post a picture on Instagram, there are options that allow you to also post it on Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr as well. Another thing is that people obsess over the amount of likes they get, because for some reason we have hit a really messed up point in time where the more likes a person has, the better they feel about themselves. It's almost as if the number of likes correlates to self-value. As much as we're aware of that, we can't help it. And I'll even admit, when I post something on Instagram, I get excited when it gets a like. And it's so ridiculous, but unfortunately, that's our culture now. Social media is a huge part of our culture. So I think social media mostly relates to Courbet's definition of religion. He said, religion is an integrated system of belief, lifestyle, ritual activities, and institutions by which individuals give meaning to, or find meaning in, their lives by orienting themselves to what they take to be holy, sacred, or of the highest value. I definitely think this sums up how people's addiction to social media functions as a religion. Religion doesn't have to be sacred in the traditional sense. If it brings value and meaning to a person's life and they are involved in the rituals of it every day, then it's a religion. So yeah, that's the end of part 1 of this series. Stay tuned for part 2, where I turn towards fandoms and how some people get so involved with the reality of fandoms that it genuinely takes away from their reality. And I also discuss how producers and distributors kind of prey on those addictions. All right, so I will talk to you next time.